Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this Monday edition, the 11th of October, 2021. I am your host, Pastor Moses CHILUFYA, and I'm so privileged and honored to be in the studio with me. My guest, who is not a new person on the block, President of Economical and Equity Partner, am I right? Party,
indeed.
Mr. CHILUFYA TAYALI, the President of the party. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Pastor. I am so honored and humbled to be on this special program. And good evening to the viewers out there.
The Camnet family. You know, we are a family.
Indeed.
Those who watch Camnet TV, we think the same way, we have the same ambitions, born for greatness, and so it is quite a blessing. It's a Camnet family. If I'm to ask, yes, who is Mr. CHILUFYA TAYALI? Please give me the background of who Mr. CHILUFYA TAYALI is, not the way the social media people know you.
Exactly.
This is the actual stage where facts have to come out.
Indeed. You know, actually, earlier on today, I was talking to one of my old friends, and he was telling me, he was running through the history of where we have come from and what we have done. Mm-hmm. He was saying that it's amazing how people talk about you. You know, you see, like people like they know you, and yet some of us who know you, I mean, we get amazed by some of these speculations. Indeed, many times on social media, people think they know you because, of course, they see you, and you post a few pictures here and there. You talk about your family, they think they know you, but really, who is CHILUFYA TAYALI? I was actually born in Ndola.
Okay. I
went to school in Ndola, you know, in different schools. You know, when you are growing up, you know, in an African setup, where a child is a child of everybody, of the community.
Absolutely.
So you grew up in this house and that house and so on and so forth. But I completed my secondary school at Chifu Secondary School, and thereafter I went to Malawi to go and start philosophy and religious studies, because I was trying to become a Catholic priest. So I did that for 3 years. I completed my philosophy and religious studies in Malawi, Balaka. From there, I was sent to Uganda for my spiritual enrichment, what we call novitiate. After novitiate, you know, in my second year of novitiate, it was decided, my formators thought, we don't think this is your way. So they advised me to leave. They advised me to leave, and I left. I came back to Zambia. Now, you know, usually when you are in the seminary and you come out, you want to do something quickly to settle yourself. But I tried to pursue, to continue with my formation journey, and I stayed for a year with some Franciscan sisters, you know. But then later on, I came to Lusaka, and I enrolled at University of Zambia for a special program into information processing. I didn't want to do, at that time there was only computer mathematics. When I looked at what the curriculum was about, I felt that's not what I wanted, because I wanted to quickly, you know, learn something. Basically, at that time, I wanted to learn how to be able to assemble a computer, repair the computers, install programs, and I knew, because with that, I was able to go out there and be able to work. So I didn't want to a long course of 4 years and then start looking for a job. I wanted something that I could do quickly and get out into
the marketplace.
Yes. So I did that basically for 3 years instead of 4 years. When I completed, immediately I set up this company called CHILUFYA Computer Solutions. And that's a company that has taken me up to where I am today. My livelihood and survival has been through that company. I had a few programs. I didn't write my own program. I'm a programmer, but I didn't write my own program. Instead, I partnered with some other companies, some big companies who had written programs, which I customized to the local industry. And I sold these, this software to about 35 hotels and lodges in Zambia. And a number of them are actually still using this software, except that at the moment I am not so hands-on in that field. But some of the young men that I started with, that I trained, are actually now running the software that I brought on the market. And I'm actually very proud to have achieved that. But since I was so passionate to help out people, I formed an organization called the Zambian Voice. I ran the Zambian Voice for about 5 years, and till 2015, basically 2015 mostly, I got involved in politics when President Michael Sata died and President Edgar Lungu came in. I joined politics because I wanted to help President Edgar Lungu to succeed. I wanted PF to continue leading the country. And we managed that election in 2015. 2016 as well, I was part of, the people that were fully campaigning for PF, as well as President Edgar Lungu. And we managed to do that. But afterwards, after 2016, I decided to form a political party, Economic and Equity Party, basically because certain things I felt they were not being addressed by the PF. Mostly the issue of corruption. That was the biggest issue for me, because I felt a lot of things were going on, but there wasn't that eagerness to fight that corruption. So that made me form our Economic and Equity Party. However, I still remained a close ally of the Patriotic Front until just before the elections of 2021, that I sort of like withdrew myself and stood on my own. And we went into the elections. Some of the issues that we were pointing out, I think I was vindicated, because at the end of the day, PF lost the elections and the UPND won the elections. In the last elections, of course, I participated. I didn't participate at the presidential level. I participated at the mayoral level because I didn't feel I was ready to contest for the presidency. It requires a lot. The resources, the time. Really, I felt I was not ready. So I went for something that I thought I can manage, and that was the mayoral position. And I came out number 3. The position for Lusaka mayor was won by her worship Chilando Chitangala, and the second was the UPND, and I came out the third. So pretty much that is CHILUFYA TAYALI, and I'm here tonight.
Are you married?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I am.
Because I'm asking this, I am not on Facebook. I was, but I just got out of it because I don't think I can stand whatever goes on there. But I just hear, CHILUFYA TAYALI has married an Ethiopian lady.
Yes.
CHILUFYA TAYALI has divorced.
Yes.
What is the whole truth about this?
Well, the whole truth about it is that I'm in my second marriage, and the last one. When I was at campus, I met this young lady, and we knew each other. Then we got married.
Ethiopian?
No, she's actually Rwandese.
Okay.
She's actually Rwandese. So we had 2 children with this lady. The firstborn is actually now at the University of Zambia. And the second-born, she's doing grade 10, at Roma Secondary School. But after 5 years, we couldn't really live together. So we divorced, and this was in 2009. 2009, I remained with the children because I really wanted to look after.
She's gone back to Rwanda?
No, she's actually around. She's actually around, and so I stayed with my children for about 10 years, and I got married again in 2019 to my wonderful wife, who is now an Ethiopian. I met her when I went to Ethiopia for a holiday, and we dated for some time and we got married. Yeah. So yes, I am married, and now we have one daughter with my wife. We have one daughter who is just about 1 year, 4 months. So in all, I have 3 children.
So the Facebook and social media information that you divorced and sent your Ethiopian woman, it's all fake.
No, it's not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's like you have said, social media it's another world, if I could put it that way. It's just another world. And the way people carry themselves on social media is usually different from the way they are. So I enjoy playing to the gallery of social media and sometimes following what social media want. You give them what they want. So at some point, even when I was dating my wife, they were like, no, it's not true. This is it's just it's Photoshop and so on and so forth. Anyway, we got married, and when we got married, some people were saying, no, this woman can't stay. An Ethiopian won't stay. She will just be here for a few, months. Others 2 years, others 1 year. So at one point, when my wife was going for holidays, I gave social media what they wanted, a prank to say, okay, she's gone. And they celebrated. But I wanted to, to enjoy that moment. And when she came back, it's sort of like to teach people to say, it's difficult. What you assume is not the real life. What you assume about people is not the real life. And I think those who have followed me.
You know what that is called in the Bible? There is a verse in the Bible. It says, answer a fool according to his folly. There are some times that you answer somebody according to his level.
Exactly. And you see a person very excited and going all over,
spreading force.
Exactly. So they really feasted on that. They really feasted on that, and it was like, you see, we didn't tell you, people were having press conferences, to talk about that. And I kept on watching that, and even my wife, because most of the time we were chatting and before the war, because unfortunately when she went out, then a war started in Ethiopia, in the part of northern of Ethiopia, so we couldn't communicate. And it was like, she's gone, she has left him, but anyway, she's at home and she's watching the program right now.
We thank God. We are so thankful. Now, it is good to know, before we dive into our program tonight, I want to look at, for the sake of the viewers and those on Facebook and YouTube, please, you can follow us. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. In the light of what we are going to discuss today, the role of opposition parties in the light of development, or developing the country. Before we get into that, I was intrigued to know that you studied
Yes.
As a priest.
Yes. Yes.
So why didn't you join me on the platform as a priest? What took you to computers? Things which don't breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, to be very honest with you, Pastor, I do admire.
Yeah.
You know, I do admire when you are pastoring, when you are preaching. I do really admire. And there is actually very strong temptation of going into that. I think I somehow feel like I would be more comfortable in that court than the court of politics. But I was raised by the Catholic. I think God has done a lot of things in my life through the Catholic Church. So I feel like, you know, it's like the Catholic Church, they are like my parents, you know, in terms of faith and, of course, my well-being as a human person.
They are not like, they are your parents.
Indeed.
They are your parents.
Indeed, yeah. Absolutely. And I say that just, you know, but indeed you're right. They are my parents in terms of faith. I was baptized in the Catholic Church, and I have received the graces from God through the Catholic Church. So much as I have the temptation of, you know, seeing you preaching and, you know, touching many lives, I feel like leaving the Catholic Church would be a betrayal to my parents. And therefore, I think I should stay with my parents.
So they have to coach you, induct you in everything that you are doing.
Indeed. Up to today, I am so attached to the Catholic Church, and now, especially now, because I have a number of friends who I was with, who are now priests and they are in leadership. So I feel, you know, I'm too connected, you know, to leave this house, this family. But indeed, I do appreciate what people like yourself are doing. I do really appreciate. Unfortunately, in our church, we don't have, there isn't so much, the platform is not so big for people who are not priests. You know, our church is more restricted to the clergy, so to say. The lay are very limited to do in the church. But nonetheless, I think we try to do what we can wherever we are. And for example, for me, on social media, I do realize that is a huge constitution that I have. And I do try more often than not to throw in the word of God, you know, to say something there. You know, I may not put it in the way that you put it, but I still manage to bring it out in the way that social media will take it up. You know, because in social media, if you take a verse to say, you know, you post a verse, very few people will be interested. So I do try to cut it up, you know, inside.
Package it.
Yes.
Then offload
it. But the line is there. The line is there, and I even put the quote there. I would put maybe a story about my family, about my background and whatever, but then, you know, in line there to say this is connected to what you would find in the Bible with this passage. And I actually see a lot of people reading that because of the little story that it's like when you want to give a child, you know, medicine. You know, you wrap it up and, you know, so I do that more often than not. And I also do provide, you know, counseling in a way where I bring out the life realities, you know, in families, mostly in families, because I have a strong passion for family. I strongly believe that we are who we are, out of where we are coming from. If our home setup is broken and there is chaos there, it's highly unlikely that one would come out responsible and be of help to others. So I strongly believe that we need to help families to stay together and nurture their families. So I do speak a lot about my family, and sometimes people think that I'm just bragging because I have a very beautiful wife, but it's not that. It's trying to teach, trying to show love to that others. People think that marriage sometimes is like shipikisha. It's difficult. You can't enjoy life in marriage, but I want to give a different picture that you can actually be happy in marriage and you can enjoy your marriage, and that's what I try to bring.
I think since you are saying that your role of influence is limited as a lay preacher, I'll write a letter to the Pope to request for your service. I'll write Vatican and say. But let's go back to this subject tonight, Mr. Tayali, President Tayali. 1982, I went into Bible college under the Assemblies of God and graduated in 1984. And for obvious reasons, I'm trained by the Assemblies of God. Friends like Safwari Piri, the pastor of Kalomo, Malala, Joshua Banda, Mutemwa, my twin brother Kashweka. We were, Bishop Lukwesa, we were in the same intake, 82 to 84. And by the special grace of God, I pastored Hope of Glory as an assistant pastor to Reverend Musonda Nason. Took me up, great man of God, trained me, gave me the church to oversee the experience that I now have. I owe it to Reverend Nason Musonda, because for 2 years he would travel to Kenya, he would travel to America and leave me with the decisions to make, And it was a big church, 1,200 at that time.
Wow.
And some of the decisions, I would say, that you are the pastor, why are you asking me? You make a decision. So I learned to walk at a tender age in the gospel. 1986, I quit. Began this ministry. I quit in April. Then in October, we began this ministry. At that time, Valley Twitativa Para. I am a church, that kind of thing. But the point is this. It's not that Assemblies of God is a bad church. No, it's a good church. Yes. Wonderful doctrine and everything. But I had to quit because of certain things that I did not agree with, and maybe how to handle the people who are not part of the fellowship. And based on my personal reasons, I quit. There was a point that was being brought. Imwebapende. Chenshi mukwatira, uyu akwatei, uyu akwatei, uyu akwate. Why can't you come together? Yes. And just be one church and become effective? I had no answer to that because I had my personal reasons. Yes. Now I'm seeing that politics have joined the Pentecostals. Yes. Yes. In a country small like ours, why would we have 16 political parties? Why?
Actually, we have about, if you follow the records, we have about over 40 now.
40? Yeah. Registered?
Yes. Those are the records. So far, we have over 40 political parties in Zambia. And of course, if you go down, you would find that, some of them, you hardly hear of them. At least thanks to you. I'm even appearing here and people are knowing about the Economic and Equity Party, but others really they are not even ahead. And at the end of the day, when you look at it, basically the two big political parties is the PF and the UPND. You know, and a lot of people sometimes they ask me to say, do you think PF would bounce back? And I say, if you look around, there are only two big political parties. And if there are two big political parties, the assumption is that the only political party, if this one is not ruling, it's the other. You know, it's the other. A lot of people think, no, PF is gone. But really, at the moment, the big political party that we have in opposition is PF. The next political party after PF is miles away. And it would have to take, you know, a lot of prayers from people like you to happen for that next political party to come through. So, so you are right when you say, I mean, why should we have so many political parties? Why not just, you know, consolidate ourselves? Of course, like any other thing, there are positives and negatives. You know, there are both sides to every situation. And I would start with the positive side of having so many political parties. The positive side of that is that it shows the democracy that we have, that our democracy is working. I am one of those people that is so proud of our democracy as a country. Our democracy really, for me, people look at, no, America is the best democracy. I think Zambian democracy is the best. I strongly believe Zambian democracy is the best. And what are the pointers? The pointers, number one, it's these political parties that we have, so many. In Zambia, it's not so difficult to form a political party. You don't have to be rich. I mean, I don't have money, and yet I'm a president of a political party because the law allows me to form a political party when I feel like. And so many others, you know, Cosmo Mumba, my good brother, he's a president of a political party. My brother Ken Tonga, he's a president of a political party. Sean Tembo, he's a president of a political party. You know, so but if you look at if you in other countries, frankly speaking, some of us would not be able to, you know, boast of being presidents of a political party. You know, but here it's possible. So that is number one. And it is not bad in the sense that because we have personal convictions, we are unique, and we look at things differently. You know, whenever, you know, people meet, just 10 people, you know, listen to their views on a particular issue. It doesn't matter. There is nothing that is straightforward. You will see this one looking at this way, that way, that way. So at the end of the day, this reflects, the many political parties reflects the divergency in human beings, particularly Zambians in this case. The other point that I can look at is that, of course, it gives the people, the Zambian people, a choice. Because if they don't like this one, they can go for the other one. They can go, you know. So it is good. And now, which is another point, now I actually like it because there is a mixture of the mature age, the middle age, and younger ones. You know, we have people like, you know, like when I look at my good brother, CHILUFYA, of Golden Party. You know, he's actually leading the inter-party center for the inter-party dialogue. You know, so there is that mixture, and that is good because there is some kind of a nurturing process. You know, the younger ones, they will be able to take off from the older ones. So it is good. Now, what is the other side? The other side of it is, of course, you know, it becomes, you know, when you also have too much choice, it is also a problem. You know, when you have a presidents, 16 of them, like in the last elections, if you are really scrutinizing these candidates, it might be very difficult to really choose, you know, which one are you going to pick among those. And then it also becomes costly on the part of the country. To run an election, it is very expensive in Zambia because we have so many political party leaders. And a lot of people argue to say, no, presidents are paying so much money, you know, as nomination fee, it should be reduced. I say, no, it shouldn't be that reduced because, I mean, the ECZ pay a lot of money to print those ballot papers, to prepare for the elections. And when there are more candidates, it becomes more costly for an economy that we have. So it is a bit of a challenge. So number one, I think again, when we have too many, you know, you dilute the democracy. Much as it is there, but you dilute it. It's too much. Then secondly, it also becomes expensive. Thirdly, conflicts, you know, can easily, you know, ensue when there are so many. You know, pitching up, whatever. Thank God, it's not as bad. But it is possible that, you know, political conflicts would be too many. Because this one, it can be a mess. So, what is my ideal scenario? My ideal scenario would be that we should have a number of them, but maybe I wish we could have a ceiling. I wish we could have a ceiling to say, you know, in Zambia, we should have maybe 20 political parties, okay? Or encourage people to make it a little bit difficult. Instead of just me with my few 10 people to go and register, maybe we should require people to be a little bit more. About 1,000 or 2. Maybe, something like that, such that we sort of like regulate, because really having it like this is not very good. The other point would be to encourage dialogue, especially people like, you know, the church, to be able to be advising us, you know, because there is also this notion among politicians that we know it. You know, since I'm president, what will Pastor CHILUFYA tell me? You know, I mean, I know, you know, and sometimes also, you bear with me, sometimes also the church spoil us. Because you sort of like exonerate us too much. You know, when you're supposed to be counseling us, you know, and that again doesn't really help. You know what happens, why that is so? It's because of poverty. Yeah, it's true. When the church is poor and you are looking forward to buy 5 microphones, the closest candidate is a politician. They are the people with money. Invite him for a service. Exactly. And when you want to speak against them, nishikwamba vyoku paper no kupala because of the 5 microphones. Which you are using to speak through. Yeah, but really, those are challenges that I have, and this is why for me, I am actually a critique of Zambia as a Christian nation, because it pushes people into docility, you know, where now criminality is being perpetrated in Zambia as a Christian nation. People are failing to talk through Zambia as a Christian nation. No, just a point of correction there. You should have asked me before we came here about Zambia being a Christian nation. You went through training. Yes. And you discover that there are scriptures that talk about how God would destroy nations. Yes. The nations that were against God and the nations that were for God. Yes. It's in the Bible there. Yes, yes. I'll send you the scripture so that when you are talking, you have this.
The Bible says, blessed is a nation whose God is the Lord.
Indeed.
When President CHILUFYA, with the help of General Mianda, declared, stood between the pillars. My wife and I were at State House, actually. We were privileged to be there. He just handed over this nation to God.
Yes.
And he said, I declare. He didn't say Zambians should be Christians, all of them. And you know, in Bemba, Mr. CHILUFYA, there is a saying, at muchech ni muchu vendosh. Look at the campaign that has just gone. Yes. Did you see how many politicians frequented the church? They were all over. Every week, you find a politician in front of a camera, and this is what I want the church about. Yes. Always, you find when it's election time, they are there looking very humble. When the elections are over, they are gone. Where will you see them? They are gone. They are back to the jungle of insults and stealing. Back to the jungle of all sorts of evil, you know. And indeed, when you have washing powder or Colgate or toothpaste, it doesn't mean that everyone is clean. No. You know, so Zambia, being declared a Christian nation, it is just identity that we subscribe to the Lordship of Christ. Yeah. But that does not mean nendoshi kulala that I'm a Christian. Exactly. Nakabwala, that is taking the name of the Lord in vain. And that is where my critique comes in. Yeah, that is where my critique comes in, because like I said, it has taken people to be docile. In the name of, no, we are a Christian nation. And I mean, everybody is running to the church knowing, because the majority of Zambians are Christians. So it is actually proper to declare Zambia as a Christian nation, because the majority actually are Christians. And now it looks like if you want to succeed, if CHILUFYA wants to succeed, the best way to, the easiest way is to go through the church. Once I go through the church, somewhere, I come and talk to Pastor CHILUFYA, gives me a title in church, and I'm even standing as a politician. It goes very well. Plain sailing, plain sailing. But this is where, again, you find, sorry to say this, it is not by choice. You find that during the elections, there are few politicians, there is no politician who came through our church. Not because I don't invite them or what, but because, Mr. TAYALI, the crime I've committed in this nation is to tell it as it is. That I know. If I don't like you, I will say it from the pulpit while you are still seated. That's me. So because of that, you have few politicians patronizing churches where they will be told the truth. And there are those who say, I need the truth. I think let me go to that person. Because if you have people who are clapping for you, even us in church, like I tell the story, a pastor just wanted the design of his church. He didn't want the board, the committee to advise him on the setup. They said the pastor knows everything. Beautiful church, immaculate. When they were dedicating the church, people wanted to go to the toilet. There were no toilets because the pastor forgot the toilets. And that is the problem of not being advised. Indeed. People like me have been under President Kaunda, may his soul rest in peace. Every one of these presidents, I've saved them on a personal level. But I will never grovel at your feet, even when you are wrong. That's not my nature. My nature is to tell you as it is. This is why I avoid walking political roads, because I may step on someone's toe, you know. So that said, Mr. TAYALI, it is important that you politicians know God. I'm telling you, there are problems that come, like Solomon holding a child there. He doesn't know who is a mother between the two. Where did he go? And yet the man was a wise king. The Bible says he prayed, God give me wisdom. And he said, we'll cut the child in two half. That wisdom, you can't get it at the University of Zambia.
No.
Not even Oxford, whichever university. So we need God. But going back to what we are discussing, I want you to give a comment. Is it good for one political party to sweep the whole country, members of parliament? Is that a sign of success? Is that good for the nation? Or you need a formidable opposition party? Which one would you go for?
Certainly we are talking about plural politics, and there is a reason why we changed that in 1991. There is a reason to that. We had the experience of one party state. So like anywhere, at every level of our life, it is important that you have another person to look at whatever that you are doing. Even at household level, that's why it is important, to get married. Though two are
better than one.
Yeah, though priests don't get married, but but even there is opposition, because at home you're the other person is actually your opposition. You are your running mate. Exactly. You are the head of the house as a man. You are the head of the house. But your wife comes in to say, but why are you going this way? Why don't you, And equally, yourself, there are sometimes when you say, I think, so it is always good to have that. And sometimes you may decide just between the two of you, but sometimes you may say, you know what, maybe let's consult somebody from outside, and that person will come in. And certainly, everything that has been done with the participation of a number of people is usually perfect. Everything, most of the times, it's rare that something that has been tested by a number of people would be faulty. Most of the things that we find that even they are being recalled back, and so it is because people have hastily or very few people brought it out. But something that has been perfected by a number of people, you find that they are at least good enough. So it's the same when it comes to governance. It is not good when you have a political party that has swept the whole country and they have the two-third. Frankly speaking, during the last elections, when I was hearing of my friends were PF tumbling in a number of constituencies, believe you me, Pastor Chiluba, I prayed that the UPND should not get the 112 mark. I was really praying that, please God, let them not get 112, because if they get 112, then we have a problem. And thank God indeed that did not happen. This is good. It's not because I hated the UPND. No, it is about allowing checks and balances, allowing others to have a say before anything is done just like that. So surely it is in the best interest of a nation, especially a developing country, that we have divergent views at decision-making level. Actually, I'm one of those people that believe in proportional representation and what we have. I am praying that the UPND are talking about changing the constitution. I am praying we can have a proportional representation. Because proportional representation really works out well, to offer checks and balances. Because what we have now is a situation where, the winner takes it all. But in a proportional representation, I participated in an election and I got almost 25,000 votes. And of course, others also participated. But now those 25,000 votes, since I lost, they have lost completely. We don't have a platform where we can
air your views.
Exactly. And only in programs like this one. But if we have a proportional representation, those 25,000 people would have a voice somewhere. And this is what I pray we would have. So to answer your question, I strongly make a comment to say it is not good for a country to have one large, big political party that sweeps the whole country, because that defeats the purpose of our plural democracy. We would rather go back to the one party state which we had during the time of UNIP. So it is important. Unfortunately, sometimes electorates also, our democracy, this is where it needs to grow. Sometimes people go with the mob. Because everyone is voting for this political party.
That's right.
I will also go with that. People become defeated, even if they know that, no, this person is not a good person. They have a personal experience. But because everyone is chanting the name of this person, they go for that. We need to educate our people.
Partly, Mr. President, it's because we don't know what we are voting for.
Many times
most of the people who vote, they don't know who they are voting for.
Absolutely.
And what they are voting for.
Absolutely.
I'll give you an example. In America, it's either you are Democrat or Republican. Now, when it comes to Republican, they are serious on certain moral issues. You can't change them. Democrats will allow anything, even a dog to marry a man, they will allow you. So if you are that kind of a person who can allow the elephant to marry a lion, you know, you go to the Democrats.
Yes.
If you say, no, family is very important, you go to the Republicans. So there, they know why they are voting. And you find, like my friend, one of my friends, he liked this Biden. He liked Biden. He's been Democrat. In all these senator, he voted Democrat. But on presidents, he voted Trump. You know, because now they are saying, here is a person who stands for this. Others called him a crazy person. Others called him this.
Yes.
But some people discovered, I think this man is worth it.
Yes.
And others disregarded it.
Yes.
So you see now what is happening. Are you aware that even 2 days ago, CNN, they predicted that Trump may win both the upper and the lower house? Because the wind has changed, you know. Biden is losing it slowly and at a faster rate. However, our friends know why they vote and why they should vote for this one. You see? I'm voting for this one because I think his policies are good. He can take the nation from point A to point B. But here in Zambia, though you said Zambia is the best democracy, we vote for the party, not for the administration. And I pray that Kuntansh ikachinje ikabiat TAYALI administration.
Yes.
You know, Havazoka administration, like the Americans, so that whatever mistakes you make, it's you, not hiding in the name of the party. You know. The
party, yes indeed. Yes indeed. So yeah, I totally agree. And of course this is something that we need to work on, especially as leaders, to educate the people, because indeed many times people don't know what they are voting for, and sometimes they really don't know who they are voting for. Take, for example, even I would take a jab on the media. You know, we have, how many times do we see the media, turning us, candidates upside down? Who is, when they say CHILUFYA, who is CHILUFYA? Like our friends do. Because when you step up, for leadership,
they will take you to task. They will thread you.
They will talk about who was your girlfriend when you were at school. At what age did you start indulging?
And the marijuana you smoked.
Exactly.
When you went back.
Exactly. So they don't leave anything.
Yeah.
And that helps the people. But unfortunately here, we seem to lack on that. And people get away with a lot of things. They get away with a lot of things. People that really don't deserve to aspire for leadership. But in Zambia, they dare to aspire and sometimes even voted for. For example, I'm not going to mention names, but you know, in this government, there are a few individuals who I was really hoping that President Hakainde Hichilema will bring in new people. New people. And he has brought in certain individuals. And some of these individuals, when you look back where they're coming from, are failures. Yeah. Some of them, they are implicated in the very corruption that President Hakainde Hichilema is talking to, say, zero tolerance to corruption. I mean, we have people that were relieved of their employment because of corruption. And they're ministers to them.
They've bounced back.
Yes. People who have really failed, a number of times they have been at it. They were part of MMD, they were part of PF, failed. And today they are part of this new government. I mean, honestly, those kind of things discourages me. They do discourage me because I was really praying that I would have different people. But basically the point I'm trying to make is that if we have a robust public, scrutiny, as well as especially the media, the fourth estate, some of these people would not be there. Because, come on, what are you trying to say? You want this person to be in charge of this ministry? This person was in this ministry? This is what he did. This person was in this ministry, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, such people would be exposed. But today, they are flying our flag and boasting that they are ministers with a baggage behind. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, but the problem again, like you said, the democracy in Zambia is a good democracy. We are a growing democracy.
Yes.
Because here you fear, as the media, I can tell you, just during the election, community is imaged. This is 5 years, eh?
Yes.
What we went through just in the previous elections, I must tell you that, do you realize that we are the only media that gave UPND the chance to stand here?
Yes, indeed.
Other media stations could not. Because for me, I'm a pastor. You see, I look at HH, I look at President Edgar Chagwalungu, I love them and have no discrimination. Even now, where President Edgar Chagwalungu is, I cannot raise a word against that man. I cannot raise a word against HH. They are my church members. These people, they deserve to come privately, like you come, Pastor, help me, like you said. I mentor them. That's the role. But the moment I opened up to UPND, one example I can tell you, President HH knows this. We spoke, even after the interview. I interviewed President HH. You watched that one?
Yes, I do remember. It was quite revealing.
Yes. I interviewed President HH. The next person was President Chimbakambwile. And I was going to move to President Edgar Lungu on a personal level to just take them on as they are. The way UPND supporters insulted me and my late mother and my father who is late, I didn't think I deserved that. I've been in the pulpit, but I just said, no, I'm not going to bring mom into this rubbish. That's how I stopped. And a few days after, I think 2-3 weeks, President HH calls me and says, you see, Pastor, the interview you meant for good, Nawaku has taken it up. And it starts going. And this one starts going. And we would chat. And I said to him, Mr. President, do you realize that I've been insulted by your very people? And yet some of the questions I framed, They came from the UPND people who are cowards. They failed to tell HH. Me, I get those and I push them to him. And the same people start insulting me. Can you imagine?
And you know, many times politicians, we don't appreciate some of these critical questions. Because to me, they are an opportunity to clear yourself. Like you asked me, I mean, are you married? We heard that your wife has left you. Without that question, viewers would not have the benefit to know the truth that my wife is there. You know, but if you go around it, you don't ask it. I mean, people would not know. But sometimes people get offended with these questions. But for me, that's why I like to be very open and take questions as they come.
Like I didn't warn you what you are coming for, and gracious, you just said, Pastor, I'll come. You didn't ask me what are we coming to talk about. No. Because my principle, I live in openness. It's transparency. I have opened, because when you go into public life, there is nothing that is private. I don't agree with those people who say no, his girlfriend, no, you can't talk about his girlfriend, you can't talk about his wife, that is his private. In America they say, if you want to stay private, remain in business and do your private thing.
Yes.
But they say the moment you come on the platform, the public,
yes,
they normally have this saying that even the zip becomes public.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How you fasten your belt, everything becomes public.
Sure.
If you don't want to be criticized, stay at the back.
Exactly, and that's what I believe in.
Yeah.
And this is why even on social media, I mean, there is nothing that I hide. I think my house, people may not have physically visited my house, but I think they know what kind of chairs are in my house, where they are, and where I live, because I strongly believe that when you are in public, you are supposed to be transparent. People should know. Even when you're talking about resources, people should know. It shouldn't be a secret to say, no. I mean, it should be public. People should know who you are and what you stand for. And this is what I try as much as possible to bring out in my public life.
Now, going back to what I said that we will talk about, opposition and development. Do you think the opposition are pushing, or let me go back, ask it this way. You know that when President Kaunda was in power and opposition came on, that pushed our father to wake up.
Yes.
He started seeing certain things that he had not seen.
Yes, yes.
He came out of power, and blessed be the name of the Lord. What's his name? What's the name of the party? MMD. MMD took over. But there was one man who came out of MMD. Michael CHILUFYA. And even though people talk about this election, I think Zambia lacks historians. You cannot have a person in the sitting room and bedroom of his home form a political party to bring a sitting government down like CHILUFYA did.
Yes.
Few people notice his potential actually. You know, one single man to bring a sitting government down.
Yes.
And Mwanawasa liked that man. No wonder he flew him to South Africa. You know the story.
Yes.
And when you have that kind of opposition, it keeps you working. Why is it that nowadays and in the previous government, if you criticize, you are a cartel? If you do this, you are... Why is it like that?
I think this is where we are missing it, and we are missing it on both sides, the opposition and the ruling. Firstly, there is this sense of knowing it all, and ownership. It's my government, it's me. You know, so that is clouding our reasoning and our judgment on both sides. But it's more especially to those who are in the ruling. Let me put it this way. Those who are in the ruling party, they strongly believe that, I mean, we are the ones, and we are the one to rule, we are the one to make policies and everything. They don't want to hear what those who are in the opposition are saying. It's them. The PF, they had that arrogance, if I could put it that way. They had that arrogance, where at one point they really stopped listening to everyone, including those of us who were close to them, whereby when you challenge them, some of us, I mean, twice I was throwing myself, really, literally for just criticizing that, no, this is not right. So that is a big problem that we have. But on the opposition also, we tend to be petty sometimes. We tend to be petty. It's like everything that the one who is in the ruling party does is wrong. This is a problem that we have. Objectivity. We lack objectivity. President Hakainde Hichilema is in State House today, but is one of those culprits, you know, of not appreciating anything about the ruling party. When President Hakainde Hichilema was opposition, I mean, nothing PF did was correct. Nothing. He even went to an extent of not recognizing President Edgar Chagwa, you know. But that is not good. So because of this attitude, you also make those now who are in power not wanting to listen to you. So we need to strike a balance.
But on that one, just watch over the years. If there are certain things that, like you said, the Bible is very clear that you reap what you sow. You know, everything, even when you become president, I'm teaching you and teaching the nation, while President Hakainde is there, like you said, respect him.
Yes.
When he's wrong, talk about it.
Yes.
When he's right, right, compliment him.
Absolutely.
But if you just go oppose, when you come, it's your time. God will raise, or Lucifer will raise certain people to sit on your seat, you know.
And just look at the negative.
Yeah.
But from my point of view, and this is the difference, if there is any difference that I try to bring in this politics, is to try and be objective. And people really fail to understand me. Many times they say, where do you stand? Today, you are supporting this party and this person. Tomorrow, the same person you are attacking is the same person. And I tell them it's about the issues. It's about the issues. And where I've come from, I have criticized President Hakainde Hichilema, and that I have also stood with President Hakainde Hichilema. The first time I was arrested because I was actually fighting for his justice when he was arrested. I didn't believe that he had committed treason during that Mungu
saga.
Yes, I didn't believe that, and I criticized that. But when you talk about other issues,
the ones you talked about in the house and what?
Yes, those I strongly believe to say some people were deprived, you know, were deprived of their resources because this man was powerful. And of course I ended up in court with him and so on and so forth. But, you know, being in court, and even on this side, there are some people now, when I attacked President Hakainde Hichilema, and I used the word attack, you know, in the context of what we're discussing. Whenever I admonished him, then I was paid by PF. And people would rise, you are being paid by Edgar Lungu and so on and so forth. When I admonished President Edgar Lungu, they said, HH has paid you, and so I am a person who they say, you don't have where you stand. But I try to tell people to say, I stand on the truth. And the truth is that sometimes we are human beings. So sometimes HH will do good things. And I will commend him. But sometimes he will do wrong things. Equally, the PF and the leadership, sometimes they'll do good things. And I will commend them. Sometimes they'll do wrong things, and I will admonish them.
But that is, again, about truth. You see, I've been called a cadre with my wife. Camnet TV, depending on what news you carry, you are PF. Depending on what news you carry, you are UPND.
Exactly.
I have been called all sorts of names. And this is why you find that when a person wants to work for Camnet TV, don't bring your agenda. Don't say this party must go up, this one must go down. No, 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 no. That one will cross lines because the editorial policy of my wife and I is to maintain balance. We've got to be factual. So if you've got hidden agendas, you want to come and wash your dirty linen and your bitterness through Camnet, it will never work. Like the Nigerian will say, it can't never.
And you have done very well, but this is lacking in this country. We are highly polarized. It's either, like now, you know, we're talking about, you know, opposition offering checks and balances. Like now, my view is that the UPND have just come into power. And certainly we must be alert, but we must also be reasonable enough to allow them to settle before we start criticizing them and frustrating them, you know, at every point. Others, of course, like you have said, maybe God has raised others to be so negative. There are those who are already very negative with President Hichilema. Whatever he does, I mean, they are always saying something, whatever. But for me, so far, I'm actually saying, so far, so good. And I'm doing this, not that everything has been right. There are certain things that, well, you understand to say, well, this is expected when somebody is trying to set himself up. For example, there were those issues of, to say, how do you swear in ministers before Parliament can approve those aligned and created ministries. I mean, for me, these are some of the issues that, you know, you say, well, these are normal. You know, they are not mistakes that one would... then the other issues that people are talking about is that, you know, President Hakainde Hichilema made a number of promises.
A lot.
Yes, before he became president. And people are now saying, give us what you told us. You promised this, you promised this. And I'm saying, yeah, well and good, he promised these things, but I think there are certain things that we need to reasonably accept that they cannot happen overnight. They may need a little bit of more time, you know, before they actually happen. But there are certain things, of course, that can be done immediately, which do not require, especially, you know, change of policy or the law. Those things can be done, and this is how I've divided, you know, my approach to my checks and balances. I'm saying there are those things that are immediate, which don't need, you know, you to change the law. For example, when there are people that have been working for government, they have not been paid. For example, health workers. You know, there are also some retirees. These people have already worked. These people, I mean, they need to be paid. And to be paid, you don't need anything like to change the law or whatever. No, no.
The constitution.
No. All you have to do is that, guys, we are here. Can we look for the money? And if you are prioritizing the lives of people, I mean, this is one of the issues that you do quickly.
And that is one of the campaign promises that the UPND said.
Exactly.
You can't leave the retirees like this.
Exactly. This government, when we come, we will sort out. So for me, such an issue is an issue that needs to be sorted out immediately. Then there is also another issue that is burning. We're talking about free education. Yes, free education, we might need to change some policies here and there. But there are certain things that the UPND spoke about, which can be done without changing so much.
Yeah.
For example, the meal allowances. President Hakainde Hichilema has promised to say no child will fail to go to school from grade 1 up to university. So we had during the PF meal allowances removed. And President Hakainde Hichilema spoke strongly about this. So for me, this is an immediate issue. We have young people who are in schools right now. As we are talking, Pastor, they have not eaten.
Are you serious?
There are a number of them. There are a number of them who have not eaten. There are a number of them. And tomorrow they have to go back to school. So this is immediate. We're talking about the lives of people.
So you don't need to go change the constitution that way.
Quickly. Give them back the meal allowances. All those who were on meal allowances, put them.
Who voted thinking immediately after winning, we will start eating.
Give them immediately. Then we also have, one of these grappling issues of our civil servants grappling with debt. It's a yoke that is weighing them down. Weighing them down. And if you want the civil servants to be motivated to deliver, I think you need to motivate them. We know for sure that increasing their salaries, though it was actually one of the promises that they will increase their salaries, but certainly we don't have the money. So we can be reasonable to say that may come a little bit later. Let's look at the budget and whatever. So that will come later. But there was this program of debt swap, helping the civil servants to come out of their debt. And this problem was caused mostly by government, because the government was supposed to be remitting money according to the agreements that they had signed with the money lenders. So government at some point, they were not remitting the monies, and they accumulated, civil servants accumulated, arrears and interest. And this is a problem that was created by a government. But pianango, apiana namabala. So exactly. So the UPND has come in. I mean, they have to inherit these problems, and this is an immediate problem. This is a problem that they can quickly look into and lift this burden from the civil servants, so that they can be motivated and work for this country. Other issues, yes, we can wait. And then, but of course, there are also rhetorics. There are certain promises that, when a politician is talking, I mean, you just ignore, because sometimes you can't take everything that a politician, not because they have said it. I mean, you might also be considered yourself to be the foolish one for taking something that that
it won't happen.
It won't happen. For example, you're selling the presidential jet. I mean, those are pronouncements which were made. But look, come on, let's be real. The man would have said it, he might have said it out of ignorance. But if for some of us who understand how some of these things work, come on, you just have to ignore that one. And I don't think it will make, it will benefit the nation as an opposition to start dwelling. Yeah, sell the jet now. Let's see.
That issue, because you've talked about it, I don't know whether we Zambians understand. You buy a Gulfstream G650 like the one we have. That's a super jet. The cost of it is 65 million. But of course, when you put the presidential seal or whatever security features in there, the plane goes to, and whoever can buy that one, he can fly like a president, because the features that are there are heavy. But why sell that plane when it's supposed to service here? But those are some of the things you find that they are up to the president and the government. But for me, really, it doesn't serve any purpose.
But really, and my view is in talking about, offering, checks and balances that are sound, as an opposition, so we need to look at what is it that we can talk about that our friends can hear. Because when we're just talking anyhow, I mean, we make those close their ears. Those who are in power close their ears. I, for one, don't want that situation. I want, when I talk, I want those who are in power, hopefully,
to hear.
And these are some of the issues that I'm talking about to say. For me, I'm simply saying there are certain things that you people have come in that you can do immediately, work on. And there are certain things that we can say, no, we'll give you time. Creation of jobs, we can't create jobs just like that. You need to grow the economy and so on and so forth. So those things can wait, but you must continuously be assuring people. Because, for example, we want to create jobs, but then we have those who are trained as teachers, who are trained as nurses, and they are trained, but they are not working. Even also the agriculturists, the extension officers, these people. It would be good for government to make at least a statement for them to know, other than to say, no, yes, we are going to create jobs, but then you don't give them an indication.
When and
exactly.
Yeah.
So I would have appreciated by now the government to come up, because by now I'm sure they know what we have in terms of resources. I'm sure they have done the cash flow, especially that our president, we are blessed, is an economist. So he's not as ignorant as I may be to look at figures. I think he's one person that can quickly analyze figures and make a projection. So I would have loved to say, well, next year we'll be able to take maybe 500, teachers, 500, whatever, that kind of thing, because that way it gives people hope. And they say hope, a person with hope lives. Hope gives you a reason to live another day. So I would have loved that than to just keep quiet about it and say, no, we are creating jobs. Yes, for those ones who are still at university, for those ones who are not skilled, maybe they can wait. But for these ones, it would be better to give an indication to say, maybe next year we are going to employ 500 teachers, we're going to employ 500 nurses, 500 doctors, something like that. That would help. And I think this is reasonable. It's not just to say, no, HH this. I think this affects the lives of people.
What would you say, Mr. Tayali, to some of the political parties? Sorry to say this, but I think for one to form the political party, he must have a vision. He must have something. It may take time. Like I began by telling you why I left the Assemblies of God, right?
Yes.
And by the special grace of God, and all the credit, all the grace goes back to God. Because without God, my wife and I would not be here. But because I obeyed, I felt God, I am more effective.
Yes.
Where I am than I was in the Assemblies of God. You understand?
Yes.
So why become a politician of a political party and you are just singing the songs? If UPND is, PF is there, you are dancing with their PF sting, and yet you are the opponent.
Yes.
When
you participate in elections.
That's right. When the UPND now is there, because I know some people know that 5 years, 10 years, HH, you become untouchable. So it's to sing the song is singing. Even if you don't know the tune,
yes.
That kind of thing. Why go to that level?
I think one of the easiest, firstly, it's the ego in man. Wanting the status. People love it. You find that, I remember one of the functions, they were doing their protocols announcement, and they left this person, they omitted his name, and he protested big time. No, you have left me out, and so on and so forth. So, status, people love it. One of my daughters say she's not my biological daughter, but I've raised her up. She's old, she's working, and when she was in the 20s, each time she would go around and she said, you know, I met a man. And then I said, tell me about this man. You say, you know, she said, one time she came, she said, you know, Dad, I think now I've given up on men because all men wants to be presidents. Every man I meet who is proposing me, he will talk, next thing, one day maybe I might be president. So there is too much of that. Everyone
there are so many presidents born for greatness.
Look at PF right now. They are in problems because President Edgar Chagwalungu has declared his interest that I don't want to continue. You know, and he's really holding on there as a caretaker. But
have you seen how people are jumping out into the
yes,
the present?
Yes, yes. But you see, amongst them, you see, they want president. But anyway, so there is this human nature of wanting, you know, to venerate ourselves instead of God, because really it's God that puts us there. And this is why, for me, I don't lose any sleep about leadership. I don't, because I know that if God has ordained you, it will happen. And how it will happen, you may not even understand. From nowhere it would happen. Look at Mwanawasa. Look at Arabi. Look at CHILUFYA himself.
Even the President HH.
Well, President HH, well, we might have to say, you know, something that there is a little of fighting from whatever. But anyway.
But all the presidents, including President Kaunda, he didn't know. He had some friends.
Yes.
He didn't know he would be president. All of this.
He was Zank.
Yes. No one knows, but God will bring you there.
Exactly. God brings you there. So I don't lose sleep, but a lot of people think that it is something that they can manufacture within themselves. That is one. But then the other point is, you know, it's the poverty that you spoke about. It's the poverty and corruption. Poverty and corruption, because when you struggle around and you are failing to make it in life, people think the easiest way to economical freedom is politics. And this is why a number of people that are going in there, because they see politics as a liberation, an economic liberation, and they join in. So when they join in, even if they know that they can't be on top there, but they always want to associate themselves with those who are in power. This is why you are seeing people shifting. You know, I mean, a lot of these people, they have been in all ruling parties. All ruling parties. They just change. And they have no shame whatsoever. They have no shame. Today, they join this political party because it is in power. The following day, it comes out like, look, some of them were joining PF during the time of elections. They were joining PF because PF was in power. And PF has lost. And they are going back to UPND because UPND is in power. Those people really, all they want is economic survival. And this is, it's not about ideology.
And avoiding crimes that may be labeled against them.
Exactly. Also the corruption comes in there. Some of them, of course, they have committed crimes there. And they want to be shielded when they are in the new government. Like I said, that they are actually, if I were president today, Pastor Chilu, I'm telling you, some of these people, I would actually follow them. I'm telling you, some of these people, I would actually follow them.
You would lock them up.
I would follow them. But they are now in the ruling party. And President Akainde, some of them has even awarded them ministerial positions. So, and then of course the corruption also comes in, because if you want to do business in Zambia, you have to be aligned to the ruling party. And that is corruption. You know, yourself to survive as Camnet TV, you need the adverts and so on and so forth. But you find that those which are singing the praise to the party that is in power, I mean,
they'll get more adverts.
Exactly. And they are free to go anywhere and do whatever. You know, even you see that. So this, unfortunately, it's corruption. Because I shouldn't give you business because you are singing praises for my party. I should give you business because you deliver. You are a good studio. You are a good TV station. That is what should count. Unfortunately, this doesn't count many times. And I'm disappointed a little bit with President Hakainde Hichilema because he said, you know, I'll give you quality in my leaders. But really, let's look at the people that we have. So that is one of the challenges why we have, you know, some of these people that they form political parties, not really, you know, even, you know, there is this alliance, with due respect to that alliance of theirs, the UPND alliance that they talk about. If you talk about the UPND alliance, there are some people that we... Come on, they would not even win a councillor position. They can't. Now they are associating themselves with the UPND. They are part of Ubuteko, and they are going around soliciting for Tumangwe. You know? They have even changed even themselves now. I can see some of them when they are appearing on your screens. You can see Yes. So when they compare them, you can't compare them to yourself. You may have a full change pact, but these people, these politicians, they may be nothing, but the fact that they're in power or associating with the political party that is in power,
UPND alliance,
they are powerful than you. So these are the challenges that we have as a country. And do you think they would bother to stand? No. I mean, I know like one minister who, I mean, there are a number of them who in this alliance, he has never participated in an election. You know, since he formed his political party. But he has just been an alliance partner. Himself, no constituency whatsoever. It is because, you know, that is where the bread is, and that is where they can thrive in their businesses. But I try my level best for me, you know, to be where I am, to stand on my principles. And this is why I have had problems with almost, you know, people say to say, you are a problem. You always fight with everyone. Where do you stand? Because, I mean, for me, when it is wrong, it is wrong. It doesn't matter who it is. I will just say it as it is.
Two things. Before we open the lines, we want to take a break because we've gone into that break time. However, two things. President Tayali, do you realize that UPND, PF, MMD, you campaign on the basis of corruption, sometimes tribalism, just on corruption and poverty, alleviation. I think most politicians are so limited. Now, when you look at the Financial Intelligence Center and their beliefs, there are certain crimes which nobody talks about it. UPND was not talking about it, PF and all this, and these are tax evasion. Because some of the people who evade tax are in leadership. They are politicians, and that's a crime. Because you are bringing the nation down. You import cars, you import this, just go to ZRA commissioner, let him write it. I don't think that is right. So, tax evasion and also money laundering. This, it's so serious in this nation, President Tayali. Being a pastor and being a media person, you have all this information coming through, and this nation needs people to help it.
Absolutely.
Tax evasion, money laundering. And also I remember the third one, which you don't talk about, but coupled with this, is it right for DEC and Corruption Commission and all this to go under the President's office? Do you think it will give confidence to whistleblowers or what?
Well, I think that move is not a move that I would have made if I were a president. Of course, when you look at the Gazette, I can't remember the number, but they have been, like the Anti-Corruption Commission, they have been actually under the presidency. Yeah. Now, the new Gazette has brought a different tone to it, where, you know, they are saying the vice president, I was reading the vice president to say it's an oversight. It's like the president has become, you know, the supervisor. If you look at the commissions, according to the law, the commissions are supposed to be independent. Commissions are supposed to be independent. Independent to an extent of even checking the president himself. You know, so I am very uncomfortable with that decision of the president to bring them under his office, to say they are under my office. I think they should have been independent as they were, you know, autonomy. They were autonomous bodies, you know. It's like the ECZ, you know, it's an independent body. But the moment you bring it under the presidency, I mean, you are bringing complications.
Like this in South Africa, they call public what?
Public protector.
Protector.
Exactly, public protector. So I think that one, I know President Hakainde Hichilema wants to ride on, you know, his will, his strong will to fight corruption. And he wants to show that, look, I'm very serious about this and I want to make sure that these people are working. But unfortunately, those institutions, they are not only made for CHILUFYA TAYALI and yourself and others. They are meant for all of us. They are meant for all of us. So it would have been better for President Hakainde Hichilema not to make that move. And I'm praying that along the way, he will realize this. His intention, I want to believe, is to show seriousness in fighting.
Not to compromise.
Yes, to fight corruption and make sure that they are delivering. I believe that is his intention. But unfortunately, whenever we have an intention, we should also check it through how it is going to flow, you know, in the country. How is it going to be? So I think that is not a decision that I would have made. And I pray that sooner or later he will realize that that move is not the best way. But allow me to just go a little bit further, because you're talking about that we campaign on, you know, poverty and inflation as well as fighting corruption. Because this seems to be like something that easily sell. It's easily sell. When it is always nice to it is always easier to label those who are in power as corrupt and all those who are doing well as corrupt. And you ride on that to malign them, to make people turn against them. But really, if you look at it, when you come in to say, now fight the corruption that you're talking about, show us where the corruption is, it's not there. I am actually at pain to see a number of people that are being, whose name are being dented by this so-called tag of corruption. Because now, even on social media now, people are just picking it up. If I see Pastor Chiluba, you know, driving an expensive vehicle, you see?
Proceeds of crime.
Proceeds of crime. You know, I come here, I see your wonderful church, I see this building. How did he build it? Corruption. And people run with this on social media and it goes viral. But what happens to the image of that person? What happened to the image of Pastor Chiluba? Imagine.
And his family.
Indeed, and his family. And the larger following that you have. I was just talking during my press briefing. I gave an example of, you know, Dr. Miti. You know,
which Miti?
Dr. Miti, the secretary to the cabinet. You know, Dr. Miti is one of those people that has been persecuted in the recent past, where somebody just came up and said, no, he was cited in the judgment of Kapoko that he must be arrested. He's a criminal. And unfortunately, the person who was raising these issues was actually a member of parliament. You know, raising those issues. And in the eyes of the public, Dr. Miti has been persecuted and convicted. When I went to Parliament to check, because I wanted to check the records about this person, when I verified, I was actually very disturbed to find out that actually the corruption case that they talk about, it is actually Dr. Miti who started it and had a number of people convicted and some of the properties gotten. And yet this person is being verified as a corrupt person. This is just an example. There are a number of people that have been labeled as corrupt. And even now, we have this new government is busy talking about, remember there was this issue of this young lady, they found a lot of money. Already people were pointing, this money belongs to this one and that one.
That one, that one, yeah.
But these people, and unfortunately, they don't have a voice. They can't come out and defend themselves in the public. But because of this agenda, because of this political party that is in the ruling party now, has come up with this agenda, labeling everyone to say, they are corrupt. They are sort of like giving a license to everyone to call anyone anyhow as corrupt. My comment and my exhortation to that is that, can we be responsible? When we want to talk about corruption, let us not just talk about it in vague. Let us look at what is it that somebody has done. They say there must be a prima facie case before you label somebody, you start alleging things. Otherwise, we are destroying so many people, so many good people in our country as a result of trying to show that we are serious, we are fighting corruption. It is not fair, it is unjust, and I'm sure God is not happy about some of these allegations that we are making against innocent people.
You know what you have said, President Tayali, it is very true. I'd just come. Do you watch our program on farming?
On farming, yes, I've watched it.
And what we are doing, this thing is big. We just had a conference where the Egyptians flew in with the biggest technology in drip irrigation. Those pipes, if you want to buy anything for farming, just contact Cabinet. Those drip irrigation, Mr. Tayali, they can take you for 8 years without changing them. They are the best now, going into Europe, going everywhere. And we struck a deal with them. They flew here, they came for our conference. But 2 years ago, I went to meet President Lungu at State House. Everyone, his advisors were there. My wife and my team, we were there. We didn't talk about anything private. We didn't. I was just telling him that when we go agriculture, Your Excellency, we'll get out of debt. And I went with experts who showed him things on the projector. And the man says, Pastor, I want to work with you. I want to work with you. And that's where he said you support the private investors. When I left State House, it was everywhere on social media, Pastor CHILUFYA gets some help from State House. He never gave me ngwe. We never spoke about it. And when I spoke about something, this confirms it, you are PF cadre. You know, this country sometimes, the way we think, I don't know how.
Exactly. Even now, you know, they hear you are meeting President Hakainde, tomorrow the story will be something else. I mean, this is quite unfortunate, and we need to move away from this witch hunt and wild allegations on innocent people, because some people really, they have worked so hard for their names to be where they are. And yet we have, you know, young people, some of them, you know, unfortunately with social media, there is no respect. You know, when you are on social media, Pastor CHILUFYA, I know. you are a parent where you are, you know, who I should respect, but on social media, this
is where I don't read the things on Facebook and what, because, you know, let me say this, President Ali, my mind is tuned to succeed. Yes, I've got a humble background, but I have a great mind. So Jesus said, be careful of what you hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he said that, be careful of what you hear. I don't want to cloud my mind with.
So there, you know, you find a young person who has nothing, you know, doesn't know anything about life. He would tell you big things that you would wish.
You were not on social media. You know, Mr. Director, please open the phone lines. Okay, the phone lines are there, and please feel free to call us. We are not going on break, and I hope, if my director will be gracious, I hope to show you one clip from people whose minds can be creative. And I've asked this man to say, why don't you come on CamNet and tell your story, how you were a worker, selling trucks, selling this. Today is a big investor, and the nation can depend on him. And I'm so grateful. If my director will be gracious to give us that, it's just 7 minutes. But please feel free to, the lines are now open. We are discussing the opposition in the light of development. How can we work together? Now that you rightly said, hello?
Hello, Pastor.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you, sir?
Permanently blessed and born for greatness. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Mr. Banda, I'm calling from Commonwealth.
Mr. Banda, I'm with the President Tayali here.
Yes, I want to pose a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Mr. Tayali, how are you, sir?
I'm okay, thank you very much.
Okay. You know, Mr. Tayali, when you were discussing, I heard you, I don't know if Pastor Chiluo said that the gas stream may cost 60 million, but the addition to that gas stream may keep the price up. You know, that's why in Zambia, I don't know whether we even ordered those ambulances, which the opposition exaggerated the prices, but they couldn't know that actually the fittings which were in that ambulance were more expensive, more than even in the ambulance itself. But you know, in Zambia we like politicizing everything. Then I want to find out from Brother Tayali, why were you not on the ballot paper also? Because some of us wanted to vote for you, and made possibly wanted to stand on your party. So where are your offices? Where is the Secretary General? So that those who want to join your party can join the party. Then I want you to say something about the free education, because they didn't say much. Is it feasible that you can have free education from grade 1 up to form 5? Then how are you going to identify a poor person if you have to offer free education to a poor person or vulnerable person? Because this time around, the way things are, I can be a general manager, and I've picked two people from the village whose parents have passed on. They are vulnerable, they are orphans. And I want them also to have free education so the government can educate those people. So are you going to deny those people free education? So can you, since you are also part of the alliance, I don't know whether you are part of the alliance, can you elaborate about that? Thank you.
Before you come in, you talked about the gas stream, what we talked about.
Yes.
It's public knowledge that if you just Google brand new gas stream, it comes out, it will tell you. But because I've got 2 companies that send jets to me, I'm so much into private jets.
I'm sure, Pastor, you want to buy a jet soon.
Before Jesus comes, I want to. So I sit on those two platforms and they send me this. But however, the other features I do not qualify to talk about it.
Yes.
Because it's not for this platform.
Yes.
About the cost. I'm not justifying the cost that is there. No. I'm just saying when you put one or two things, it may go up by $1 million or two. For example, you buy a Benz.
Yes.
I buy a Benz.
Yes.
You know, same make, same everything, but if you go to put bulletproof on that Benz, it can't cost me, you, the same like my Benz.
No.
You know,
yes.
The feature that you have put there, it's a different one.
Yes.
So I'll just leave it up to there so that my brother Banda can understand that there are certain things.
Yes.
But answer to what he said, oh, there is a caller, you take this one.
Hello?
Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
Permanently blessed, highly favored by God. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Mutankula Boy from Kinsali.
Mutankula?
Mutankula, Mutankula Boy.
Okay, Mtankula.
Yes, from Kinsali.
Please go ahead and speak to the nation.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank my brother, Pastor Chiluba. Yes, now I'm saying no, it's like a father is seated with a son discussing something progressive. To my son, TAYALI, continue doing what is just before the eyes of every Zambian. God has got the best and big plan for you. Always stick to your way forward. I thank you, Pastor Chiluba.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Now you can, Mr. Ntankula has just complimented you. I know he follows you. There is a question. Mr. Banda wants to know where your offices are. Because look at this, Mr. TAYALI. You are future leaders, you people. When God called us or put our names here, there is no single name you put in the Bible that this one will be president, this one running mate. It's open for
Exactly.
You never know. But there are people who admire you and your leadership.
Sure.
Tell them where is the
Sure.
and the other question that was posed.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to just take a little bit of a bite on the Gulf. There is a figure that has been flying around on social media, and this came after the president, spoke about it, and the manner that he brought it out, that he spoke about that, with due respect to the president, I was not comfortable. To say, look at the price, it's disgusting. Next time you are choosing a president,
Choose careful.
you should be careful. I was not comfortable with that. And later on, we saw now that people are alleging that it costs about 300 something million.
And 80 million, yeah.
When it was supposed to be 60 whatever million. My take on this one is an appeal to the president. That next time when he's addressing the nation, he should moderate his emotions. Because he may crucify innocent people. Like in this case, people now are being seen like they got maybe over 300 million. I don't believe that. But the one who caused all this speculation is the president. I think when you are trying to say there was something wrong here, you should be very clear. It was not good for the president to allege that the price was highly inflated but not giving us the figure. It would have been reasonable. Since you spoke about it, you should have said it cost 60 million kwacha, but this one they spent this amount. Yeah, but
thank you for that observation. But the president not being here again, you see, he doesn't go to Minister of Finance to say, give me that receipt, give me that. I'm sure the government wings are the ones who said, here are the facts about the Gulf Stream. So he's just speaking as a president from what he's finding out. I am saying that because he's not here to justify himself why he said that.
No, indeed.
We thank God for your...
Indeed, he is not here, and this is why maybe in future he would come back and talk about it. I have no opportunity. I wish I had an opportunity to speak to him directly, but since I don't have an opportunity, I'm using this platform to appeal to him that you have crucified people here. Maybe it is true, but maybe it is not true. If he can clarify on that, can government clarify on that? Because people now are looking at the previous government that, look, instead of 60, they bought it at 380. The difference is too huge. And that was created as a result of that press statement. And I think we need clarity from the government. Now, going further to discuss, to talk about quickly the issue of, he spoke about the free education. Is it feasible? From my point of view, I don't think it is feasible to have free education in the manner that President Hakainde Hichilema promised it, to say from primary to university. I really doubt that is feasible. We had that, yes, which President Hakainde Hichilema himself talks about so often during the time of President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. But what was the population of Zambia at that time? It was barely 3 million. 3 million at independence, just about there, 2.8 to 3 million. That is the population. And at that point, we only had 100 graduates. So there was a government policy to accelerate education. And this is why, there was that free education supported by the small population, supported by the money that was there at that point in time. But this time around, I mean, we are almost 20 million in this country, and then we are heavily indebted, and then to run schools, it's very expensive. And the majority are youths. Exactly. And poor people, by the way. So I really doubt it can happen. But from my point of view, it's not something that I'm standing on the anthill to say, give us. I am waiting. I am waiting. I'm saying, do what you can do. Show us the magic. If you can do it, well and good. I'm not asking for it to say it should happen tomorrow. I am waiting. But I hope he will succeed because he promised it. And I hope he will succeed. Then quickly on the issue of, in terms of our political party, where our office is, and so on and so forth, I'll be very honest with you, Pastor, here, and the people that are listening. Mr. Banda. Yes, Mr. Banda. I will be very, very honest with you that, unfortunately, I am not so eager to attract so many members and say, Economic and Equity Party has 8,000 members, 10,000 members, in the manner that, people would want it. Why? Pastor, these days, people go into politics like we were trying to discuss. It's another way of livelihood. And, when you would be excited, you have members, right? But as they are coming, it becomes a burden. Financial burden. Exactly. Where from time and again you hear, well, President, Chiliro, so, well, President, well, President, and whatever. And you have to. And they don't have that money. And when you don't give them, they start saying, wakaso. But you don't have it. And every day you are stressed with this. I said, you know what? Our membership as Economic and Equity Party is open. Those who subscribe to Economic and Equity Party, when there are elections, we will contest. And they will hear, like on this platform, they will hear what we stand for. And if they are willing to vote for us, they will vote for us. Like what happened? He was asking to say, why were you not on the 16? I'm sure he didn't understand, Babanda, that I actually contested as a mayor of Lusaka. I didn't contest as president because I couldn't afford the running and the expenses. Let's pick up this call. Hello? Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Elias calling you from Solwezi.
Elias from Solwezi.
Yeah, Solwezi is okay.
Please go ahead.
I have a question, sir.
You have a what?
Yeah. In fact, what I want just to contribute is I respect Pastor Chiluba, you, with the program that you carry on every day.
Yes, sir.
And I always follow you with your program. Now, today I'm very happy to see Mr. Tayali with you.
Yes, sir.
But I thought of just trying to come in that I can help.
Yes, sir.
Or I can give out my concern. Mr. Tayali is not a man to trust in everything.
Is not it?
Yeah, you can accept him to talk about how the president is engaging people in fighting corruption. We all knew. That's why we stood up as a youth to come and vote out fear from government, because fear for it was not serious over the corruption issue. That's why we came as this, we made from all the corners of this country, fear should go out. And this is what we did. So, from the CFO, it's not everyone that is there. We have people, or there are people that are professionals that can assess the situation. And then when they say this man is corrupt, there's something that they are saying is corrupt. And look what the reports that have been coming from the FIC, and all other intelligence centers or other institutions of this country. They've been giving out people that they have been end up quarreling with the government, which is the fear. Now today we want to say, so don't accept Mr. and in everything what we say. This is what I wanted just to contribute on this platform this evening.
Mr. Elias, Mr. Elias.
Yes, sir.
Before you go,
Sure.
I want you to have the spirit of the president Hakainde Hichilema. One of the things that the president has brought, which is new, it's not new, but which he has brought, is that, he wants people to express their views. Because you may not agree with what President Tayali is saying, but you can pick a grain of truth, one or two. Somebody said to me, and I always tell my children, that the mind is like a parachute. It works better when it's open. Oh, sorry about that. The mind is like a parachute. It works better when it's open. Mm-hmm. If I shut you up with your views, and I shut this one up with, we'll be going in the same circles, only to listen to those that like us. Like the Bible says, in the last days, people will heap teachers to themselves who will say things that will please them. Mm. And that's the problem we have in the pulpit. Mm. When I load my message, in the evening you hear how people have insulted me. They call me all sorts of names, others praising me. So I think what I'm just saying to Mr. Elias is that I appreciate if this nation can accommodate different views. Mm. Even if I'll never forget, as a president, in State House, we were chatting like this. Then the President Sata said, Pastor Chiluba, I said, no, Mr. President, Kwishilu, Nangwichipuba, Kutichakwe Chishinga, what the intelligence cannot tell you. Because people will say, Lishiluri. But it's Chaisa Kupusho Moove, because he has nothing to lose. He will tell you. Others will be afraid, and that thing stuck like an arrow in my mind. Yes, Mr. President.
Yeah. No, it's basically what he was expressing from my point of view. This is natural, and it should be like that. you have had people that will, some of them will believe you and will agree with you, but others will not. And for me, I always think that if you're going to have everyone agreeing with you, then there's a problem.
Absolutely.
Then there's a problem. So for me, I welcome even those critics, especially even on my social media. You know, people call me all sorts of things. You know, and I don't actually block them, except when they touch my wife and my children, because those are not, in as much as they are part of me, but
they are not part of the social department.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you go and just attack my wife, they are no. When you attack my children, they are no. But when you call me a Irish poor, I don't have a problem, because that is what I signed for when I came into the public domain. And I respect everyone's...
Mr. Banda wants you. Mr. Elias says, don't believe so too.
Exactly.
And electricity flows on both negative and positive.
So I'm living a full life.
Let's take some text messages. Mr. Director, please load one after another. After this, I want to show the people the clip. Great work, Pastor Chiluba. Mr. Tayali is very right. By now, retirees were supposed to have been cleared so that the youth can be employed. This is urgent. Please speak on our behalf. This is Chimwanga from Livingstone. The nation has heard. Mr. Tayali, what's your view on youth employment? Where UPND youths used and dumped, what's your advice to the UPND government and the youths? Nigel Kaponda in Lusaka. Maybe answer that one briefly.
Well, I think this is where I'm saying the youths were not used and dumped. I think it is too early for us to judge the UPND in that manner. That
just in 2 months.
Yeah, no. I think this is where I'm asking for patience. That I think let's allow the UPND to organize themselves. I'm sure there is some indication already. Look, the president has created the Ministry of Small-Scale Enterprise. I think that is pointing.
He has something in mind.
Exactly. So I think let's just be patient before we judge the UPND.
Yeah. Give me that text you gave me, Mr. Director. Good evening, Pastor Chiluba and President Tayali. This is Elvis Musonda from Kasama. You talked about debt swap issue. Now, Mr. President, what about Abasha Kongola? How is the government going to help them if the government is going to help Aba Kongola?
Well, I mean, the doctor is needed for those who are sick.
Not those who are. That's a good one. Give us another one, Mr. Director. Good evening, Pastor Chiluba. I just want to appeal to the new government to consider giving Chadiza Bitumas Road, third road to Chipata. We suffer a lot. This is from Chadiza. This is very true. Mr. President, look at the people of Chadiza. Good evening, Pastor Chiluba and Mr. Tayali. My question is for Mr. Tayali. It's about the free education. Why are you saying that because of the numbers it can't work? But when you are a president with the when you are prudent with the use of numbers, I can and will work, give us calculations that truly it can't work. The price of copper has increased substantially as well. It's tying to free education from the profits from copper.
We are making money and they think, I mean, look, I am not saying it is not impossible. I'm simply saying let's give them time and let's see. But from my point of view, I find it difficult. But maybe President Hakainde Hichilema has the trick.
We could have taken on this, but my wife and I are in the crusade of bringing economic empowerment to people. And I respect Zambians who are into it. One of those people that I'm close with, by the way, and I see his progression. I admire. It's Brother Clever Mpoa and his wife, Savenda.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I've been reading his book, and I've had an interaction with him. A great man.
When you hear his story.
Great man, but I want to be quick again. You remember I touched on some of the people that are being verified, you know, as people who are corrupt, people who have done something wrong, and yet they have worked so hard. Mr. Mpoa is one of those people, where I saw a young man walking from nowhere, I'm not disrespecting him, going past Central Police and coming out and started talking about Mr. Clever Mpoa. I was very disturbed. And he says, I've reported him, they have stolen money, and so on and so forth. But you see, this is a man that has, you know, from the scratch to where he is. And you have a young man who is coming coming to call names, you know, on a man like him. It is those kind of people that, for me, I am talking about to say, I think this government, particularly when they are talking about corruption, they should be careful that they don't allow everybody and anybody to start pointing fingers and maligning, denting people's names.
Well, you see, President Tayali, I think, you see, when you know me as a person, you are interacting with me, my wife, my children, you can tell a better story to the people. Even me, people have called me names. Everything that you see in this studio, God is my witness. Not even $1 has come from a politician. Not even one thing. It has just been 3 cameras. Let's start. By faith. But when you hear figures that people mention, which I got from whichever government, it will scare you.
And you wish you would have had it actually.
How can I refuse?
Even when I say that, you know, when people say, Tayali, you have been bought, sometimes I sit, I say, how I wish that money would actually come.
But when you give me money, it doesn't mean that when you are wrong, I'll keep quiet.
No!
I'll use the same money.
Exactly. I do the same.
To tell you.
Tell people that when I start, sometimes when I'm admonishing some of these people, I even start by saying, Uyuna adidiamu.
So when you talk about Clever Mpoa and Savenda with his wife, I think we have come a long way. I've seen them and I'm seeing them grow. He does this, he tells me, Pastor, I'm doing this. So when he got this one, I said, Brother Mpoa, let me have it. Because when I tell people you were born for greatness, they underestimate. This is a man who was working for Mazembe. Mazembe Kuri. And he stopped. The rest is history. And his wife also was working there. So when you look at their humble beginning, the Bible says, do not despise the humble beginning.
Yes, indeed.
You know, somebody, even now, is a president. It is very unfortunate. People look at my wife and I as a local pastor, as what? But where we are coming from and where we are going, I have no slightest doubt that I'll meet the owner of CNN. Because at the rate we are going and what God is doing, it's big.
Yes.
But for you and me, when we sit here to lay the HY Pamuate, prophet is not honored in his, in his own country.
Yes.
It's very difficult for you to see greatness in my wife and I, because we are always together.
No, it actually requires also grace. I mean, that's why some people live you know, a person that really, you know, when I'm talking to some of these young people, you know, it's very difficult to see it. You remember now what the future. Exactly. You're a person I name. abakashana mu Zambia balenkana na isa akuizopya
na imebene
asa munatao umuntu
cash very greatness iyo Zambia yachite dump and the future president. I'm telling you, born for greatness. Mr. Director, please run that clip about Zavenda. I want the Camnet TV viewers, I am doing this for you. Those of you who came for the conference, those of you who didn't come for the conference, these are some of the people Zambia must know. And somebody has said, little minds discuss people, but great minds discuss ideas.
Yes.
And let's move forward as Zambians. And I'll ask my director to show this clip.
With a growing influence on both local and international markets, the Zavenda group of companies' footprint in the transport, insurance, telecommunications, mining, health, construction, manufacturing, and agriculture sector is not just changing the lives of many, but having a positive impact on the economy of the country.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
Zavenda is investing in the agricultural sector in Mumbwa, Shibuyunji, and Chibombo districts of Zambia, investing millions in farming equipment, machinery, and a highly dedicated and qualified workforce to yield positive results that will contribute to the country's food security and economic growth.
We have basically three main farms here. One, we have a plantation that has avocado. Already on the ground we have 2,000 plants. Then we have mangoes and lemons on the ground already.
Avocados fetch a fortune on the international market with profits of about $3,000 after expenses for every 60 to 70 trees per year. The 120-hectare farm is a dedicated orchard, and with 2,000 avocado trees already planted, that translates to $84,000 when fully grown after a year's harvest. With expansion works already started to push the number of avocado trees to over 10,000 and a value addition factory for processing and packaging, the profit margins are estimated to hit well over $420,000 per year.
From there we have the main farm where we are doing all the arable crops. Basically, the main reason why we are doing a lot of crops, different crops, is to probably we need to also have a milling plant here that will start from even lower local farmers to afford to have milling mill as low as probably maybe 5 kgs.
The main farm, which sits on 300 hectares of land, grows different types of crops, of which others are then used in the making of stock feed for the chickens at Palavana farm. Construction is in top gear following plans of setting up a cooking oil processing plant, fish feed making machines, and a milling factory for value addition. The factories will not only add more high-quality locally produced products onto the market, but will also be a source of employment.
The more we expand, it means the more we create job opportunities for the local people, and even outsiders that has the trade to work with Zavenda.
Muno mu company ubwino wakaena angenesa muzimai mukashana wonse bangenesa sibasanka so ina nionga ziko mu company ya Zavenda choka mu May until now bamera ubwino mena wonako naonako change olopa nyumba panga naonako change olosani pasand drama muna izazanga mena zisebenzera nikonza kuchita changa chamene nikanza kumtima kwanga na plani yanga mutu mwanga.
The third farm sits on a 250-hectare piece of land dedicated to aquaculture farming. The farm currently has over 40 fish ponds of different commercial sizes and capacity, with the smallest 7 stocking over 68,000 fingerlings of tilapia brims and fitted with some of the latest equipment and a highly complex water reticulation system powered by solar to ensure constant supply of both fresh water and electricity to the farm. As of 2015, Zambia's estimated fish consumption demand was 185,000 metric tons compared to a local production of 100,000 metric tons, which meant that the deficit was being imported. Savenda Farms hopes to cushion on the deficit once the expansion project is fully completed and all the ponds are fully stocked. The Chiwambo Savenda Farm, which only started operations in April of 2021, sits on 1,600 hectares of land, which has the upland for the vegetables, tomatoes and other crops, while the lowland swampy area, which is the biggest in size, is earmarked for the first of its kind rice plantation in this part of Zambia. This will not only offer a more affordable alternative to our staple food, nshima, but a good source of income from exports of Savenda rice that will be grown, processed and packaged at the source and made available to the ever-growing local and international markets. Savenda's investment in Mumbwa, Shibuyunji and Chiwambo has delighted the traditional leadership and the locals, as it has not only brought employment but also worked on the road, which has eased movement of both goods and people.
One of the many factors that people have liked about Savenda Farms coming into here is where we've done the road about 40 kilometers away from the main tarmac. We've put up the gravel road that is linking Mumbwa Lusaka Road to Mumbwa Landres Corner Road.
Koma Savenda batuthandiza maningi yenzibo kutika Kanya Road kutoka ku checkpoint ukapyanga kuja Kumumbwa Road bagireta road watifakira balasha mpaka Kabwe Road ana makorongo pa school. So mavuto atu waona kuta itabwanji ajepa.
This bouncy baby boy was born on his way to the hospital as the road was very bad for the vehicle to move quick enough.
Zina tunampasa Savenda chifukwa ndiye bantu amene banatutandiza kuchoka kumbuyo tusebenza na beve, so poenda uchani chipatela ndiye amene banatutandiza manje pamene anapapa ndiye kumpasa zina ati ni Savenda Joseph Mambo.
Savenda has built over 20 housing units for its workers with clean running water powered by solar. Phase 2 of the project is expected to see 80 housing units of different sizes built for the ever-growing number of its workforce.
Apase umoyo apitilize pamene baindira Savenda mulungu. Basapwelele mumbuyo.
Savenda's investment in the agriculture sector is not only impacting the lives of many, but also contributing to food security and the growth of the Zambian economy. Savenda, Save Nations, Develop Africa.
Have you seen this, President Tayali?
Wow.
This, I just kept it for the last because I've, my wife and I have got a family of farmers. And one day we will tell a story better about this man and his wife as you saw them. And as future president, do you think agriculture is anything that we should bank on as a nation?
For me, it's the game changer. I actually look at agriculture as the game changer because look, the mineral resources that we depend on are diminishing. And if you look at, the mining sector, it's more expensive than the agriculture. And the impact of changing the lives of the people, it's immediate. Because the first thing that you look at when you want to change the lives of people is food. That is the first thing. That is the first thing. Look at, for example, Congo. Congo, they have the minerals and they have the money and everything, but they are struggling with food, and it is difficult there. So you are better off empowering people, starting with food security. And then Zambia has got so much land, arable land, which is not being utilized. If you compare the size of our population to the land that we have, I mean, we are not using it.
Absolutely.
We are not using it. And I am praying that, you know, because unfortunately governments talk about, you know, diversification, but it is more of rhetorics than is reality. You know, the issue of supporting the farmers in terms of the farming inputs, in terms of the market, has been a challenge in this country. And until we sort out that problem, I think it would will be better off. But also at the you know, individual level, community level, people have not been sensitized of the true value of agriculture. It is seen, agriculture is seen as you know, for an activity. It's not even a career, but an activity for the poor
and the retirees.
And the retirees and those who are not educated. You know, young people don't think of farming as an income, as a source of employment. But if we conscientize our people, if we educate our people, I think we can do much better. Look at what Savenda is doing. Just look at the avocados. You know, those trees, once you grow them,
they are there for life.
That's it.
For many years to come.
Look at the price of avocados on the international market. So I think agriculture is the game changer from my point of view. And you know, going to the future, CHILUFYA TAYALI as president of this country, it will be mandatory that each family must be involved in
some agriculture
products. I'm actually very happy that at my home I have a very big garden where I grow, you know, vegetables and something like that. I think it is something that we need to be doing. I'm so proud to see that. I'm very happy to see that, and I'm sure even the viewers have appreciated, you know, what Mr. Mpoha and the wife are doing. I'm really happy because I read his book and I'm so impressed. You know, the business mind of Clever Mpoha. It's a very book. Have you read that book?
He gave it to me, my son, our third born son. He said, Pastor, give it to me first. You read later. He has been reading it from the time I got. He gave me, but. My wife and I are so happy because when we went to his home some time back, he built a chicken run to see what can be done on these broilers. He started producing 30 trays of eggs at home, and he saw it was beneficial. He bought a farm. Today he's producing over 1,500 trays of eggs per day.
Imagine that.
And he's got thousands of chickens. So when you tell the Zambians that you were born for greatness, you know, we underestimate our potential.
Indeed.
And the people, you know, who are there, you know, they know people from different angles. Like I've come to discover now, when a pastor prospers, there are only two things. Either he has been empowered by a politician, or is into Satanism. One of the two. You can't.
Which one do you belong to? Because you are very successful.
You can't. My wife and I, like I told you, President, we started from the scratch. Even when I married my wife, this is not something to hide. When I married my wife, before, I was very scared, and my mother said, "Wemana, nomboyore upawalista bed, not your my." And when I proposed my wife, the first thing I thought was, "Ngashanisha kwata bed." So, you know, God prepared my wife and I from ground zero to where we are. But that's another story. God has been so faithful. And I'm patiently. You asked me about buying a jet. I'm a member of 2 clubs who sell jets in this world. I know which is the cheapest. I know, and I tell church members, one day I'll fly a jet in this country. Not because I stole money from the church.
No,
I'm going to work myself.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. No, it has to start from the mind. Once the mind conceives it, then you can conceive it in reality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you for coming. I know we are past news time, and I'm grateful to the director, otherwise but I'm very grateful for your taking up on the last minute to come and be with us. And please leave your doors open. You are part of the cabinet family. When we have issues, we will call you.
Thank you.
This is not a social media. This is reality.
This is enough, indeed. Indeed.
Welcome, the TV viewers. I'm so grateful for tonight. On behalf of my wife, Pastor Victoria Chilufya, the CEO, of course, of this great broadcast, and on behalf of the leadership of our church, with our church administrator, Henry Tukombe, and all of you that watch this broadcast, especially the technical team who labor 24/7. They are here doing the work, sleeping a few hours. I want to say thank you. And to all of you Camnet TV viewers who attended the conference, we'll get back to you. I'm sure my wife was sorting out, there was a misunderstanding on the creation of the WhatsApp that you people attended the conference was supposed to be up and running now. So we'll get back to you. You receive the messages. We are so grateful to the family of God out there, the team Zambia. May God keep watching over this great nation and keep watching Camnet TV, because Camnet TV is not just another channel. Bye-bye.